Hey, I'm Sisyphus, and welcome back to another episode of What You Were Missing. We've gone into May here, and if you're seeing this, it's probably past May 4th. So, for all of you Star Wars fans out there, may the 4th be with you. And hopefully, you've enjoyed your Sunday watching Star Wars and indulging yourself in all things Star Wars and the Force. So, anyway, like I said last week, things will be changing format-wise probably over the next few weeks while I iron out exactly what this is going to look like and how it will take shape. So, pardon any odd changes. I know change is bad for all of us, but we're going to have to make do with it and do the best we can. So, head over to Twitter. Find me there, find me YouTube, and be sure to subscribe and follow. And also, I don't think I mentioned it last week, but definitely if you like live stream gaming and watching me play with other people and talk with other people, as you may or may not enjoy, a lot of that happens during the week in the evenings on Twitch. I don't know if you've seen Twitch, but go to twitch.tv/Vinsis, and that's Vinsis, and you'll find me there. I'll put a link in the comments below, and you can follow it from there. If you subscribe on Twitch, it'll actually send you an email whenever streaming is happening, and you can have all of your evening entertainment taken care of for you there, so enjoy. All right, so without further ado, jumping into a little bit of market statistics, I saw that DayZ, the zombie MMO game that's out, has sold over 2 million copies. If I'm not mistaken, it's still in beta, so that's pretty remarkable. To give you some points of comparison, Minecraft also announced that it has sold over 15 million copies on the PC alone. That doesn't include PlayStation, and it's on PlayStation 3, and I think it's coming to PlayStation 4. It doesn't include sales on Xbox 360. It doesn't include mobile sales. They're everywhere. So Minecraft is doing very well for itself, which is pretty cool to see for such a, I guess, a humble beginning. Additionally, some other stats to put those into even more perspective is GTA 5 or Grand Theft Auto, which came out last year, has, as of February of 2014, sold 32.5 million copies. These are huge, huge numbers. And the best-selling exclusive on PlayStation is Gran Turismo 5, and that's with over 10 million units. So that's pretty impressive. A lot of games being sold, and hopefully the video game industry as a whole is on the uptick, just as far as games sold and overall ability to, I don't know, for more exposure and that sort of thing. Generally, mobile games aren't considered as, I don't know, real gaming by some folks, but it's doing a lot for the industry as a whole as far as getting more people into development, getting more money into the industry in general. And I think a lot of people can start at these smaller applications or smaller games for phones and Facebook and move on to game development in AAA titles and even indie games or whatever it is they might want to get involved in. So that's pretty cool, and it's always good to see more games for more people. It also gets people who wouldn't normally play games into kind of the mindset, whether it's Bejeweled or any of those other games. I think it's all good. More people playing is better. Next up, so getting into the news, specifically, Massachusetts has a town that had a 32-year ban starting in 1983, I think it was, 1982. That would be right mathematically, so all of that education lost in basic addition and subtraction. Anyway, the town's name was Marshfield in Massachusetts, and for the last 32 years they've had a ban on the public use of arcade games. There was a lot of discussion about, at least at the beginning, of what it was that the problem was. Those of you who are in the video game industry know that politicians and concerned parents and people basically who don't play games think that video games are negatively impacting and influencing our youth and society as a whole, and that it will bring death and destruction upon all of us. But as evidence of this, you can see anytime there's a school shooting or anytime there's sort of violence within our own country, it's the result of that person's involvement in violent video games like Call of Duty, which we will discuss in a little bit, and Battlefield and other such games. So those of us that play a lot of video games or any video games really know that we are our own people, and I don't leave here thinking that I can go and do the things that I just did in a video game and have it be okay in the real world, so that's kind of silly. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, so 32 years ago they banned the public use of arcade games, and very recently they overturned that ruling, and now they're allowed to play Pac-Man and Asteroids and all of the things that they've been missing since 1982, at least publicly, which is good. So nice work, Massachusetts. Keeping everybody on the straight and narrow. No arcade games. Got it. Next up is Borderlands 2 was announced for the Vita, and it's actually kind of a cool story. You should look into it if you haven't heard much about it. But what came out this week was that they're only allowing 2 people on the multiplayer mode, which is it's about half of what the regular Borderlands 2 game allows on the PC or on the PlayStation 3. Now, you may be thinking that this is bad, but the Vita is a pretty small screen. It's about the size of the screen on your phone. There's a lot that goes on in that game, and there's a lot of loot that's dropping, and creatures that are exploding, and things that you have to take care of and look at. And if there's 2 people, there's twice as much going on. If there's 4 people, you get the idea. So on such a small screen, I don't have a problem with them limiting it to 2. And yeah, nice work on getting Borderlands 2 to Vita. I think that's a big step in the right direction. Next on the list is Call of Duty. Now, they came out and announced that their next version, Advanced Warfare, and this is something that I think comes out every year. Advanced Warfare is coming out this year on, I think it was November. Yep, in November. They showed some videos, and they show that they're making even more of a departure from the realistic military shooter that they've been in the past, and they're moving more into the science fiction realm, as evidenced by exoskeletons and following in the footsteps of Titanfall, which I might have mentioned before. Yeah, so I have a hard time seeing Titanfall and playing Titanfall and then having Call of Duty come out and saying, oh hey, we're revolutionizing the genre of shooters and we're adding these exoskeletons that you're going to be able to use. I'm sorry, I've seen it before. I'm not impressed. They also showed that Kevin Spacey is going to be the antagonist or the bad guy in this game, and again, I'm sorry, I'm not impressed. Having little cutscenes with actors in it has been happening since the 80s. I don't understand why. I don't know. But then this isn't my game. I don't spend hours and days and months of my life playing this game, so I apologize to those of you whose game this is, but I don't know. So what if Kevin Spacey's the bad guy? You're not going to be playing through the story mode anyway. You're just going to be spending 99.9% of your time in multiplayer where Kevin Spacey does not exist. So there you have it. Call of Duty. I don't know. Moving on to the next one. I saw a post showing that somebody has discovered a way, or created a way, if you will, to take origami paper and fold it into the character from Journey. So if you really love Journey, I love Journey. Not enough to go get origami paper and make little origami Journey folk, but it's pretty cool. Look it up. Next, Star Citizen, which is a spaceflight sim, reached another milestone. It reached $43 million in funding this month. Not surprising. It's a juggernaut. It just keeps going. More money keeps pouring in. This is partly supported by the fact that they offered subscription model funding options as a part of their Kickstarter, and so you can go to their website and say, I'll pay you $15 a month to help with the development of this game. So money is constantly flowing in, not just from new users, but also from the current user base as well. I'll talk about that more because I'm a big fan of what they're doing. I've always loved Chris Roberts' work and the games that he worked on in the 80s and the 90s. So I'm keenly interested in how that game goes and how it's developed. But $43 million is not a small chunk of change. So nice work, Star Citizen. Keep it up. Next, as some of you may know, China has for a very long time had a ban on game consoles. Now, there's a lot of intricacies about why and how, and Microsoft has found a way to get around that, or at least found a loophole and made agreements with people to get the Xbox One into China. This is a big deal, but it remains to be seen as how well it'll be received. So, good luck, Xbox. I don't know. Maybe they won't rip it off and copy it, or maybe people there will receive your Xbox One a lot better than people in Japan do. I don't know. So it'll be really interesting to see how they do over there, just because they're the first ones there. So good luck. I mean, I know I'm not an Xbox guy, but again, more people doing well in video games makes the overall industry better. So I hope they do well. And speaking of Xbox, they have, oh man, last year around E3, they kind of put their foot in it with all of this talk about Xbox television and sports and television. Some of you probably saw the spoof video where they just cut up all the little segments in their announcement video for the Xbox One and just cut out everything that said sports or television and grouped them all together, and there's a lot of talk of sports and television and not a lot of talk of video games. So not doing themselves any favors now, they've decided that they're going to develop and create their own content, much the same way that Netflix and Amazon Prime have made Orange is the New Black and betas and well, that Kevin Spacey show. But yeah, obviously they're not really content providers right now outside of the video game realm, and so what they're trying to do, because it's through Xbox, is I think what they're trying to do is create content that's geared towards gaming and then push it out through their, I don't know, all of their distribution system and all that they've got jacked in through the Xbox Live memberships, which is somewhere north of 40 million users. I think it was around 42, but I don't remember exactly. So it'll be interesting to see how that does, I guess. I mean, it's good that somebody's going to be making content based on, you know, all of the various IP that is out there for video games, because it's really rife for the picking. But it's a little disconcerting seeing them focus on television after, you know, I mean, I don't know, it just seems a little bit ridiculous. But the icing on that somewhat absurd cake is that they're gearing to release these new shows and documentaries at times when their game release schedule is at a lull. So I don't know if this is good or bad. Maybe they just need to focus on getting more people to develop for their console and worry less about TV. I don't know, but that's where they're at, and we'll see what comes of that. Moving on, so that's it for the news that grabbed me. There were some other things like how Sony as a company is doing now that they've spun off their PC arm, and stuff with net neutrality, but I may talk about the Sony stuff next week, depends. And the net neutrality popped up last week as well on my maybe list, but it got cut. If you want to learn about net neutrality, you probably should. I don't know that I'm the person to talk about it or that this is the forum for it, because it's so gaming specific and net neutrality is a little bit more general. So I suggest that you go look it up, check it out. Two games that jumped out at me out of the news this week that are either coming out or out. The first is a dating sim, and there was some stuff on Kotaku about a game called New Love Plus, and it's a Japanese dating simulator where I think you're in school, like a high school setting. And while initially when I grabbed this and the next game out as sort of comical, I don't know, ventures into, again, like I said last week with the goat simulator and the drowning simulator, that these are, I don't know if it's rock bottom or what, but I thought this would be an extension of that. It turned out not to be, as I read more about it and learned about it, as with many things in life. So this dating simulator, actually a lot of people who enjoy them liken them to romance novels, and that it's just sort of another outlet for that sort of, I don't know, for that appetite, that you want to experience these things. Now, arguments are being made that these people are escaping to this as an outlet, so instead of finding real girlfriends or real boyfriends, they are sitting in front of their computer or arguably in front of their romance novel and having a small part of that need met without actually getting out into life and living it. So I don't know. So originally I wanted to view it with derision, but as I read through it, it made more sense, and someone drew the correlation to games that BioWare makes, like Dragon Age and Mass Effect, and how in those games you spend part of your time sort of wooing your party members and forming relationships with them, and possibly even consummating those relationships. So having been somebody who's done that, I can't very well cast too much derision on New Love Plus, but there you have it. Now, to stay in that realm of existence, there is this is going to sound terrible, but there's a masturbation simulator called Sleepy Time, and I wanted to view this with, it's hard not to view this with derision, I guess, but Sleepy Time, as I learned more about it, was actually referred to as a depression sim by Kill Screen Daily. They're a news blog or a news site, much the same as Kotaku and Joystick and some of these others. But they refer to it as a depression sim, which might be more accurate, and that basically it's a rhythm game, but instead of tapping out to music, well, I'm sorry, the opportunity for a horrible rhyme came to mind, but basically you're tapping to fapping. And as you tap or as you create this rhythm, like, yeah, things come to fruition. But yeah, it sounds like a joke, but the intent was to create a game that looks at routine masturbation as a form of like a coping mechanism for depression in men. Now, granted, as with this and with many other things, there could be representation for women in this game as well, or in general. I'm not sure they could have really pulled it off in a game like this and still be taken seriously, although I'm not sure they're taken seriously now as a masturbation sim, but yeah, there you have it. So that's what's new in the gaming world. And yeah, so that's it for the news segment this week. Thanks for joining, and if you have any questions or you want to, I don't know, be involved in some way, or you just want to chat or play games with me, look down below in the information section. All of my contact information is there, the places you can find me, and yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.